Greetings and welcome to Advanced Technology Solutions, AdvancedTechLighting.com's how to wire an HPS ballast video. In this video you'll actually walk away with a better understanding of how to wire up almost any ballast besides the one we're going to wire up here, as well as give you some other pointers on wiring up your ballast. So first off, we're going to wire up a 400 watt HPS S51 ANSI coded ballast from Philips Advanced, and this one is a corn coil ballast kit pre-wired with the igniter. We're going to actually take that off and rewire it ourselves. And inside your box you'll get all your goodies. And here we'll go over some of the simple basics of it. As we're cleaning up the wires. I'm doing this in the video because I want you to see what you're going to be getting in the box, basically. One thing I want to point out real quick before I forget is with any Philips Advanced there's going to be a date code stamp here, and as much as some customers say it looks used, you can actually see this is a conformal coating on everything basically, but within this number is the date of manufacture, and you can warranty either direct through Philips or with us. So we'll go over the input wires just so you have a good idea. You have your common wire, you have two of those. One feeds over to your igniter, which I'll go into in a second. You have your 120 volt, your 280, your 240, your 277, and 480. These ones will not be used, so as you can see they're already cleaned up. We'll just go ahead and wrap these. Up in here. I like to try to make things somewhat clean, whether it's for the installation video or wiring it up yourself and having it hooked up. So before we go on any further, we have our 120 volt, which is our hot. We have our common wire coming off the left side of the ballast. Just keep that there. And then we have our other common wire. These two are actually tied together, so you could actually run all your commons off one if for some reason one of these got cut too short. Then you have your two capacitor wires that actually tie the two separate parts of the ballast together and set the output wattage, i.e. if you change your capacitor from the set value that it comes with of a 55 UF, you can actually get a little bit more or a little bit less output. The lamps typically will go down to about 50% of max power, and you really don't want to overdrive them. So we'll get on to wiring it up. Let's actually show you what you get in this pouch. And obviously you should actually read the instructions when you get anything. And you'll actually find that the instructions are very well laid out. So you actually can see, and it tells you everything, and it gives you the schematic and how to wire it up. And this is the one that we're dealing with, and you can actually see where the cap ties back and forth. So I do suggest, reading over these, and you have the mounting templates as well. So it's a good little road map, and it folds up nicer than an actual road map. So let's go ahead and pre-build this real quick, and we're going to fast forward as well, just to be part of this. But you take your two mounting brackets, so you get two other plates that come with it as well. You don't really need those. You also need a nut driver and a screwdriver. If you get a Klein 11-in-1, you just get 2 of these, and you can do it without a nut driver. As we space out, we go the wrong way. And then that's it. And you'll see here in a second, all I did was put the screws through the holes in the ballast. As you can see, the top of my head pop in. We're not going to go super tight, just enough, because we're going to actually attach our grounds to that. And again, we're not going to go super tight because we want these available for future use. Put these two to the side. So we have our ballast again. I just twisted it up, made it more complicated for everybody. But your ballast will come pre-wired. You'll want to make sure that all your connectors are tight. On your white and red, which is your lamp common and lamp hot, you'll either want to make sure these are tight and use these, or take these off, as we're going to take them off for the video and show you how to wire it up, what we call the right way. I don't like having additional connection points. So we brought back our wires. We have our capacitor wires, and we have our common. So what we'll do is we'll take our 2 capacitor wires, hook them up to our capacitor. Just keep it simple, don't have to undo these wires. And as you noticed in the video, it came with, now again I'm wiring up the 2 cap wires, and you can actually see that they're labeled cap. There's no positive and negative on these, so you just hook up 1 to 1 and 1 to 1. Also, you'll see that I did change out from the black wire nuts to these orange wire nuts. I figure you might as well have all the same color wire nuts. So we have our capacitor wired up. That will now, I will feed that back through here so it can stay underneath all these wires. You can see that it's over there. Our lamp hot and our lamp common. Just untwist it. Now when you're wiring this up, you don't need to be as clean with the wires as I am. I'm just trying to make them simple for wiring sake for when it's time for you to wire it. Before we go on to this side, we're going to discuss wiring up your input line. going to come to where you have to strip it. And being the 120 feeder, they had it locked. They basically gave it more wire than they needed. So we have our hot and our common. This is just going to be your simple 120 volt power cord, or however you're feeding it into it. And if you're going to do a lot of wiring, or even just a few wiring bits, one of these tools is a great tool to have, available pretty much anywhere. So we have our hot, common. Hot is black, is always hot. So I'll hook up our black wire to our 120 because we're feeding this to a standard 120 volt outlet. And then we have our other common wire. All the wires again are labeled. And again, on the ground, we actually want to make this one a little bit bigger because we're going to wrap this one around the bolt, as you can see here. And as you can see, all I'm doing is wrapping that ground wire around the bolt there. And bring that up to a little bit of tension, just by holding the other screw. Again, you can use a nut driver, that 11 in 1. And once you get it up to the point where you want, and it starts bringing the wire over by tightening, you can flip it back. Use your screwdriver, and then put your nut driver in and tighten everything up. You might just have a little bit of wire coming out. That's okay because the majority of it got locked down. And you tighten it really well, so it's not going to go anywhere. So we have our input side hooked up. I always like to make everything look clean anyway, whether it's a video or hooking it up for purposes. So we have our cap, screws wired up. And we're going to talk about connecting your socket. This is a standard mogul socket that you'll either be getting through us or through somebody else, or you'll already have one, or your fixture will have one, whatever the case may be. If you're tying this in ballast directly on top of your fixture, let's say, this is how you're going to wire it, and we're going to discuss the other ways as well. 2 red wires, one coming from the ballast, one coming from your igniter. Those are your lamp wires. Those are your hot lamp wires. And when on the lamp, black and common, the black hot goes to the center post, and the common goes to the outer. And if you look at your lamp, you'll see that that's actually the shortest run for the power. So it actually makes sense that that's why it's wired up. And if you actually wire it up backwards, you can actually get a negative effect. So we'll just wire that one up, and then our common will come over to our common over here. And make sure everything's good and tight. And there you have it. This is your blue X3 wire coming off your ballast. It looks green because it's got the yellow conformal coating, to the blue X3 coming off your igniter. Again, the red is also called X1, and common is called X3, just for reference purposes. Now let's talk about if you're hooking up your ballast to a fixture you already have. Also within this goes to any ballast when you're wiring them up. All HPSs wire up like this: a igniter, a capacitor, and the ballast core itself. With metal halide probe start, you'll have the capacitor, no igniter. So basically, with a metal halide probe start, all you'll have coming off your ballast is going to be a lamp, hot, and a common. And then with metal halide pulse start, as well as HPS, you have an igniter, which brings us back to your blue X3, your lamp X1, and your lamp X2 common. So let's say we're wiring this up to a current reflector we already have, or we bought a Sunlight Supply branded reflector. We'd use this adapter, and it is actually Sunlight Supply NGW part number 903090. It's about $6. What you do is basically, again, let me just show you this. This is for would be for the Sunlight Supply reflectors. If you already have a Sunlight Supply reflector, you just plug your reflector into one of these, and then it'd be in your ballast. This is if you didn't want to cut your current Sunlight Supply cable. And in my opinion, it doesn't matter if you go buy the $6 cable from your local horticulture shop, or if you cut the cable. Either one's going to be fine for this part of it. However, there's a lot of customers that want to keep majority of their system intact. Also, if you're running the Hydrofarm reflector, or have the Hydrofarm cables already, the Hydrofarm part number is BAREF, again BAREF. That's again $6. If you just go to your local horticulture shop, they can order either one of those, and if you give them those two part numbers, they'll actually know which company to order it from, whether it be Sunlight Supply or Hydrofarm, because they have their own adapters. So let's go back into that. Again, black to the two X1s. Put our wire nuts on. Then we have white commons. If you notice, the blue X3 wire really doesn't get messed with. And then here we go with a setup to run. Also, you would, on your output side, if you get one of these, you do the same thing we did on the other side of the ballast and mount the ground in there. But we're going to go on and show you yet one more way to wire this all up. Well, two more ways, let's say. Now, if your ballast in reflector assembly just has bare wires, again, same as every other time, the black from your lamp goes to the red, the white will go to your common, and then ground will obviously go to the ground point. If you're running 25 feet away from your ballast to lamp, what we actually suggest is mounting your igniter. Well, two options: either getting a long-range igniter, which chances are is going to be mute if you already have a ballast kit, or what's called remote igniter positioning. And basically, what that is, you would actually take the igniter from being mounted right here, and then 15 to 20 or 25 feet off to the lamp, or 2 feet as they recommend. However, you can go up to 25 feet and should have no issues. But what you would do is basically Well, I should show you real quick, this way you know. We would separate the igniter completely for a second. Come in, put that wire. Again, we would hope you be comfortable with a little bit of wiring DIY. And on this, your ground actually turns into, on this cable, what you would do is, it sounds funny, but if chances are you already have your cord set. So what we would recommend you do is go out and buy a 16 or 18 gauge green for your new common wire, because that will go basically from your ballast to your reflector. And what you would actually do is, again, this is to mount your igniter at distance. What you would do is hook up your white to your white. Your black to your red. And your blue X3 to the cord set's common wire. Again, you're going to use that other single core, green wire for your new ground, going from your ballast to your reflector. You always want to keep your ground there. But for this, we're going to have the X3 turn into the green wire, and I'll show you. I need this to actually show you because I didn't grab the other wire and I don't really want to edit. So imagine that we've just hooked that up on one side of the wire assembly, and then coming into the reflector we have the wire coming in. Now this would have been hooked up to your reflector with the eyelet we just cut off, and then we stripped it back. So inside of our reflector we have our socket assembly, and we're going to have our igniter. How we'll hook this up again is blue is our X3, which goes to this green wire, which is no longer a ground. You have to remember that. Our white goes to white, and our white goes to white. Get all your little wires in there. Make sure none of them are sticking out at all. And then we take our black from the lamp cord set to the socket, black, to the igniter's X1. And this is what is considered a remote igniter installation. This would be inside your reflector. This will be either inside your reflector or right outside. And then this connection will obviously be inside your reflector or at the reflector. And again, make sure that you take your green, your ground that was on the reflector's grounded metal off, obviously because you're wire nutting it, and make sure that you've done the same on the ballast, so that way ground on the cord set is no longer ground. It is now X3, which is the igniter trigger, and that's that. And again, let's go back, just covering the capacitor. If you change the value of it, you can change the output up or down. That chart is available on Philips Advanced website as well as on ours, or you can email us for more technical information on that. What that actually comes in handy for is, let's say you have a 400 watt light and you, for either occupancy setting or veg stage, early plant life, you can run your lamp at approximately half wattage, and then when somebody comes in the room or the security sensor detects motion, or your plants get a little bit older, you can flip it back to 400 watts.